Good evening. We welcome you here to the regular meeting of our West Valley City Council. We call our meeting to order. We note that all council members are here with the exception of Councilman Vincent, who is excused tonight. With that, we'll turn to our opening ceremony. Councilwoman Lang, I believe you have that tonight.
Yes, would you please rise and repeat the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next on our agenda, we don't have any Boy Scouts here, so I think we have a couple of visitors, but maybe they'll participate in our discussion a little later. We have approval of the minutes of October the 6th.
Mayor, I move for approval of our October 6th minutes.
Okay, do we have a second? Before we take that vote, we just need to clarify. I noticed in here that on the minutes you're noting it as a roll call vote, and technically it wasn't a roll call vote. We did the roll call vote on all of the agenda items, but for the minutes and for the adjourning, it was not a roll call vote. We probably ought to correct that, and if it's okay with the maker of the motion and that, we'll have that change with the, and was it on, I don't think it was on the adjourning, but oh, it was, there you showed as roll call vote. So those two places should just be, a vote was taken. And that's my understanding, we're okay doing that. Yeah. So we just ought to have the minutes reflect that. Okay. So with that change, which the maker of the motion has accepted,
Yes.
then we'll place, if there's no further discussion, we'll place that for a vote. All in favor of approving the minutes as amended, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. Motion passes unanimously. The minutes are approved. Next we come to our public comment period, which is a standard part of our agenda, where people are invited to come forward and can take up to 5 minutes on any item that they wish to share with the council. And so is there anyone here who desires to speak to the council? Any public comments? None of the three of you. No one signed up. Okay. Well, with that, then we'll go on. Next to city manager comments.
I don't have any this evening, Mayor, thanks.
Then to the council for comments. No comments here either. Boy, we're just going right through this quickly. Next on our agenda are our ordinances. We have ordinance 15-33. This is to amend a section of the code of the city, which will allow the police department to amend the fee structure. There are 2 items that are currently not in there that need to be specifically added. Those are for processing visa requests and also requests for copies of the body-worn camera recordings. We will be adding those, and there is a fee on each request. And it does take a fair amount of work. The fee on the body camera recordings is $25. And we'll evaluate that over time to see that that meets, that covers the cost. And so that is the item that we are presenting and will discuss and make a decision on. For those who are here, we've discussed these in previous meetings, so if we don't have a lot of questions, most of those questions were answered previously. That is the introduction to the ordinance. With that, then, to the council for any comment or action.
Mayor, I move for approval of ordinance 15-33.
We have a motion, a second?
Second.
And we got the second. You want those? So with that then, any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, we'll place for a vote using the roll call. Ordinance 15-33.
Councilwoman Lang,
Yes.
Councilman Bueller,
Aye.
Councilman Hume,
Aye.
Councilman Rushton,
Aye.
Councilman Nordfelt,
Yes.
Mayor Bigelow.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay. With that, next on our agenda are resolutions. We have a number of them here. Resolution 15-167. This is an interlocal cooperation agreement with a number of cities and organizations for the purpose of a officer-involved critical task force. This is a requirement set by the legislature during the last session to have in place a process for any officer-involved critical incident. And by virtue of having this, we now have documented and in place a process for doing that. And then we will also provide those services for other agencies as well. And we will coordinate those together to make sure that those are properly investigated in a professional and appropriate way. And it's not, I assume, obviously all, excuse me, officer-involved shootings would be included there, but there may be other items as well. Is that correct, Mr. Pyle?
Mayor, I would defer to the chief on that. I know it does, as you stated, include all OISs. My impression is I think it's limited to that, but I'm not positive. Let's let the chief answer.
No, actually, it does expand the scenarios where independent, transparent investigation can be completed by outside agencies. Anytime where an individual may pass away during an in-custody situation or a vehicle accident involving a police unit or a serious injury, it can be implemented.
Okay, thanks, chief.
All right then. Councilman Rushton.
You know, nothing against City of Alta, but what do they bring to these types of agreements? I mean, I guess I just wonder that, you know, we have, I guess, the staff and the personnel to probably do this, and then, you know, city of just a few hundred people.
I think it's pretty safe to say Alta is going to be more of a recipient of the help here as opposed to really providing much in the way of police contribution.
Okay, with that then to the council for comment or action.
I move for approval of resolution 15-167.
We have the motion, second.
Second.
We have the second properly before us. Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, we'll place it for a vote. A roll call vote.
Councilman Nordfelt,
Yes.
Councilman Rushton,
Aye.
Councilman Hume,
Aye.
Councilman Bueller,
Aye.
and Councilwoman Lang,
Yes.
Mayor Bigelow.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay. Next we have resolution 15-168. This is an agreement for Clint Drake as the Employee Discipline Hearing Officer and for the services that he will provide for that for our city. This one's pretty straightforward. I don't know that I need to say a whole lot more on that, but it will give us that service that we so need in our city. Then to the council for comment or action.
Mayor, I move for approval of resolution 15-168.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll have a roll call vote.
Councilman Rushton,
Aye.
Councilman Hume,
Aye.
Councilman Bueller,
Aye.
Councilwoman Lang,
Yes.
Councilman Nordfelt,
Yes.
and Mayor Bigelow.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Next on our agenda is Resolution 15-169. This is a requirement where we have to recertify West Valley City Justice Court with the Utah Judicial Council and the Justice Court Standards Committee, and we meet those in all requirements. And so we need to maintain that certification, so we are submitting this report verifying that we are meeting all requirements. Pretty straightforward. That's the introduction to it. With that, then, to the council for comment or action.
Mayor, I move for approval of resolution 15-169.
And a second?
Second.
We have a second. And if ever ago you don't get any of those, why, just sing out so we get it properly recorded. With that, any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll place it for a vote. All in favor of approving resolution 15-169? Excuse me. Will do. Now I've got myself mixed up. Where were we?
Roll call.
Roll call vote. Okay. Habits die hard, especially when you're on.
Councilman Bueller,
Aye.
Councilman Hume,
Yes.
Councilman Rushton,
Aye.
Councilman Nordfelt,
Yes.
Councilwoman Lang,
Yes.
Mayor Bigelow.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, now we go to resolution 15-171. No, 170, excuse me. This is authorizing a lease agreement for the purchase of equipment at the Maverick Center. This just sets in place that they can make those purchases. And I was just going to, that's for $315,780. And just, boy, computer equipment, LED lighting, lighting control, and boiler burner equipment. So those are the items just in general that they are. It's time for these to be replaced. This will create a payment schedule lease as we do with many of our larger purchase items. With that then, we'll turn to the council for any comment or action.
Mayor, I move for approval of resolution 15-170.
We have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Properly before us, any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll place it for a vote. All in favor of approving resolution? Or, excuse me, we'll go to a roll call vote.
Councilman Hume,
Yes.
Councilman Rushton,
Aye.
Councilman Nordfelt,
Yes.
Councilwoman Lang,
Yes.
Councilman Bueller,
Aye.
Mayor Bigelow.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. We'll now go to resolution 15-171. In case you're wondering why I'm struggling, we changed our procedure. Okay, we were voting and by voice vote, and that does not meet the requirements, so we take a roll call vote. Resolution 15-171. In addition to the lease agreement that is put in place, we must also approve those same items as the purchase and the spending of the lease proceeds for these items. So this goes hand in hand with 15-170. So with that introduction, same thing, so to the council.
Mayor, I move for approval of 15-171.
We have a motion to approve. Second.
Second.
Second. Then any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll go for a roll call vote.
Councilman Rushton,
Aye.
Councilman Nordfelt,
Yes.
Councilwoman Lang,
Yes.
Councilman Bueller,
Aye.
Councilman Hume,
Aye.
Mayor Bigelow.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, now we go to resolution 15-172. This is an authorization to purchase and acquire, 171 was the boiler that we just did. Now we're doing the lighting control system, and then next we'll do the LED lights. So we have to do each of those individually because they're different contracts to different suppliers. Okay, so 15-172 will be for lighting control systems, utilizing the lease proceeds for the purchase of that system.
Mayor, I move for approval of Resolution 15-172.
Second?
Second.
We have a second. These will be all related, so any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote.
Councilwoman Lang,
Yes.
Councilman Bueller,
Aye.
Councilman Hume,
Aye.
Councilman Rushton,
Aye.
Councilman Nordfelt,
Yes.
Mayor Bigelow,
Aye.
motion passes.
Okay, now we go to the next piece of that same, which is the LED lights and equipment, which is again a different contractor, so need authorization to enter into that contract for the purchase. Resolution 15-173. With that then to the council.
Mayor, I move for approval of Resolution 15-173.
Second.
And a second. Properly before us. Any further
Mayor,
discussion?
I'll just comment that I know we had good presentation on energy efficiency and a lot of some of the things that we're doing here, especially with our Maverick Center. But one thing that wasn't brought up is those that skate and play hockey will be pleased to have these LED lights, not only on the energy efficiency and the lighting improvement standards, but ice conditions. And a lot of times the air conditioners won't have to work as hard, the lights won't be as bright, some of the things. And so I'll also look better to more favorable ice conditions, which will be good, and saving on our air conditioning costs as well.
Thank you. Any further comments? Then we'll go for a roll call vote.
Councilman Nordfelt,
Yes.
Councilman Rushton,
Aye.
Councilman Hume,
Aye.
Councilman Bueller,
Aye.
Councilwoman Lang,
Yes.
Mayor Bigelow,
Aye.
motion passes.
Next, we have on our agenda our consent calendar. On the consent calendar, we have 6 different items, but they are usually routine enough and minor in nature that we typically will do those as a group. One of them is just an appointment of Micah Buhner to the Professional Standards Review Board. There are 4 for warranty deeds on property along 4100 South, just off of 5600 West. UDOT has already recorded these, but they needed to come through the city for approval as well. And the last one, just an easement for a parcel on 6600 South, pretty minor items. So the council then can treat these as a group or change it as they deem appropriate by their motion.
Mayor, I would move we approve the 6 resolutions of our consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second before us to approve the 6 items on the consent agenda. Any further discussion? Seeing none.
Mayor, I would just like to,
Yes.
on Resolution 15174, just like to, extend my appreciation, and I think all of our appreciation to the council to good citizens like Mr. Bruner that are willing to step forward and join our Professional Standards Review Board. It's a very important task that, we ask citizens to fulfill, and my understanding of the commission, it's hours and hours of reading, and so I hope Mr. Bruner finds some satisfaction and from the good work that he's about to put forth.
Thank you very much. Any further comments? Roll call vote.
Councilman Hume,
Yes.
Councilwoman Lang,
Yes.
Councilman Bueller,
Aye.
Councilman Rushton,
Aye.
Councilman Nordfelt,
Yes.
Mayor Bigelow,
Aye.
motion passes.
With that, that concludes our regularly scheduled agenda. There's no need for an executive session, so we'll take a motion in just a moment. But we do note that we do have another meeting, a brief one after this, of the redevelopment agency, of which the council forms the board of that. With that then, the final motion. No one wants to stop.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion passes unanimously. Our regular council session is adjourned.
Call to order the West Valley City Redevelopment Agency special meeting. Now that we've had a roll call, all members are in attendance except Mr. Vincent. We have minutes from September 22nd and October 6th for approval.
I move for approval of the minutes from September 22nd and October 6th.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We have resolution 15-22. Mr. Pyle, would you please present that?
Yes, ma'am, thank you. You have before you a resolution which would authorize the purchase of new real estate in the, well, new to us, in the Fairborn Square area, which we've been negotiating for some time and trying to come to a potential deal with the property owners there currently. This resolution would authorize us to make that purchase. The partner that would be, or purchasing that from would be Heartland West Valley Commercial Limited. This roughly comprises the property that's over here on the northeast corner of 35th and 27th West, and then that's encompassing as far back as the public safety building. We do have a map if the council would like to explore that, showing what parcels are owned by this entity, which ones are owned by other entities, including us as a city and RDA. Probably the most important point to be made in terms of introducing the item here is that this resolution, although authorizing the purchase of the property, is really largely contingent on whether there's a viable deal to be done here. We have an extensive due diligence period in which we would be looking at all the particulars of the properties and the businesses as they exist in that area right now. I did make an error that got corrected in between meetings. I had said that the due diligence period was 120 days plus another extension of 120 days in the previous meeting. It's 120 days plus 30 plus 30, so specifically to what that extension is. So that's basically it. We are talking about a sizable addition and piece of the project that we are looking to undertake here again. I'm actually very glad to note the progress. This is a big step forward in an area that we've been trying to make progress in for a long, long time. So with that, we would entertain questions about the possible acquisition. Thank you, ma'am.
Any questions? Yes, Mr. Bigelow?
I just wanted to see the map,
Okay.
and so I could understand the different parcels. If it's okay if Mr. Pyle points out the items that are included in that.
Absolutely. Okay, so Jake's kind of running the pointer up there. Jake, go, the piece that he's pointing at right now is the public safety building, which is, we own that right now as a city. Go up one there. That is one of the properties. This next one is one of the properties that would be involved in consideration of the project. So it includes both the improvements and the parking there. Next one up, I'm sorry, down, that one right there. Thank you, Jake. That property also would be included, and again includes the building and the parking. Okay, next one up. Those two actually that Jake just pointed to would also be included. Jake, we could go over to the west two properties. Yeah, that corner one and the one right below it, the city already owns. So that's not in that proposed acquisition. And then the other one that Jake's pointing at there as well, known as the Stangl property. Neither we nor Heartland owns that, and then we own the Dr. Brown lease property there. We own that, he leases from us. There is one property down in the south, Jake's pointing at one of the two bank properties, and then the other one directly to the south of it would not be involved in this project at all, at least currently.
Thank you, that was very helpful.
Any other questions or motion?
Just one that I think would be probably helpful to, be on the record of this meeting. It's a nice round dollar figure, so maybe you could just explain the negotiation process and how we come up with a final price.
Oh, perfect. Yes, I would do that.
I would say, some of our residents might look at the number and be like,
Right.
wow, it's way too much, and others might look at it and be like, wow, what a steal.
Right, right. Well, you know what, I don't think it's fair to, I think some credit and recognition and face time ought to be given to those that have done actually all the hard grunt work on this. So I'm going to let Ms. Cottle come up to the podium and describe as she would the negotiations there to the extent that you probably want to hear, frankly. We've got 15 years of detail that goes into that discussion, but I'll let Nicole.
I have a lot of faith bringing me up here on this deal. Okay, so this deal has been a long-standing deal that we've worked on and negotiated on for my entire career. We've had conversations with this property owner 17 years. Very intensely as we brought in the tracks line, and as you heard earlier in the meeting, there were deals with UTA that needed to be rectified and facilitated that we as a city participated in and facilitated based on the understanding with the property owner that we at some point would want to enter into these negotiations, which have been, I would say, actively going on for 5 years. And by active, I mean less, oh sure, we'll help you in your conversations with UTA and we'll facilitate those discussions and what else can we do to move our conversations along, to let's start talking about a purchase price. Some of you may not be aware that this is actually a family-owned piece of property. The family is out of Florida, and the person that we were negotiating with is a real estate attorney that is also a member of the family who represents the family trust. So it's been a very interesting discussion because his responsibility is not only just as a fiduciary, as an attorney, but also specific to his family, and of course, ultimately, his own personal interests. So as these discussions have moved along, we also have several factors that go into the discussion with regards to the property, and those are things like existing leases, and as you can see, is existing buildings. As you as a good RDA board and council have been with us for many of the Fairborn Station discussions, you know the level of difficulty that goes into a redevelopment project, particularly when you have buildings and leases on the property, and that is what we talked about here. So with regards to those discussions, I can tell you that there were times in these negotiations where we were talking twice the amount that we're talking today. And you'll recall my comments from last week regarding where I fit into that discussion as it relates to being good or bad cop. And that work has gone on and materialized, and I think what has been, I think, one of the greatest compliments to this project, and something that I'm really proud of personally, is that we as a staff and I think as a city have gained such an understanding of the development partnerships that we can create, and also of this particular area, that we knew, and you'll recall we've had conversations about when a property becomes ripe for redevelopment, and when the balance is appropriate with regards to coming forward and having these more firm conversations and getting things under contract. And we have waited, frankly, on this property. We've waited for the time to be right. We've waited for the stars to align. We knew what the stars were, and we could see them out there in the constellation, and we watched for those to align, and that's resulted in what is, while a significant amount of money, a very important piece of property, as some might argue, the most important corner in the city, literally, and something that I think is a viable and important part of this development. That being said, fortunately, we've also been able to negotiate plenty of discovery time, due diligence time, to make sure that our stars really are where we think they are. And I would say that even at what appears at first blush to be a good round high number, certainly for the most important corner in the city, in the second largest state or city in the state, clearly a good value and something to be proud of that we're at this point. Any other specific questions I can answer for you, or does that help you, Councilman Rushton? Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion or motion?
Madam Chair, I would move approval of Resolution 15-22.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Nicole, would you do a roll call vote?
Mr. Bueller,
Aye.
Mr. Hume,
Aye.
Mr. Bigelow, Mr. Norfelt,
Yes.
Mr. Rushton,
Aye.
and Chairwoman Ling.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Seeing no other business on our agenda, do we have a motion to adjourn? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.